Hey guys, back with another video, and today I have a horror book tag. So I have had my channel for, oh my goodness, for some years. I think I've had it since like 2000, I want to say 17, maybe 2016, 2017. I can't remember, because when I first decided to do YouTube, it was literally me just making random videos and posting them. And I would have a better date for you, but unfortunately, YouTube has taken off like the first, I think it's like 5 or 6 videos that I had put on YouTube. One was a mannequin challenge video that I did with my family. Another one was actually 2 of the videos were karaoke videos that I recorded and put it on my YouTube when we had karaoke night with my sister a few years back. And then what was the other one? I can't remember what the 4th one was. I don't know if it was my friend Rochelle's baptism or what it was, but I can't remember. But they're not there. If you go and search, I don't even, I was searching the other day and I actually couldn't even find the videos at all. And at this current moment, because it's like 12 something in the morning, I can't even remember what's the first video that is on my YouTube channel. But I say all of that to say that a year ago, this month actually, I believe it was this month, or it might have been August, but I'm pretty sure, because I had a surgery last year, literally June 3rd, and I had to be bed rest for 6 weeks after that, but I was still doing college classes online the whole time, drugged up and all. But I was taking a class for college that was, I think it was like children's lit class for early elementary to high school literature. Even though I'm getting my certificate in elementary education, there are a lot of classes that cross over for high school, and then some that just go elementary to middle school, because 6th grade it's kind of like this. Some places it's elementary, some places it's middle school, right? So that's when I first started posting stuff on YouTube that pertained to my books, other than unboxings. Now, before this time a year ago, I was posting stuff about books, but it was literally unboxing videos. I actually started with my book unboxings with Nocturnal Reader's Box, which they are out of business now. And that was like a whole dramatic thing, and it was devastating to me because they were a horror book collection, and you got anywhere from 1 to 3 books in a box, depending on the theme of that box. So I have a lot of horror novels from them, which I still to this day have. I haven't given any of them away because they were all really good books. But I never did book reviews, I never did TBRs, and I never did wrap-ups. And then I started doing Book of the Month unboxings. And then my Goodwill book hauls. So every time I got a haul of books from Goodwill, I would do that, which I still do that now. The video right before this one is not a Goodwill book haul, but it is a book haul. Now my book hauls are whenever I buy books from any store that I go to, I do a haul on them. But then when I took that children's lit class, that's when at the end of the summer, for me, I think it was the end of the class. So I think it was a year ago today. It would have been the end of that class. I started posting about the books that I was reading, and I had been searching ever since I tried to weasel my way into BookTube but I'm realizing you probably have to do just booktube or unboxings. I'm doing both because I like both, but I'm still a small channel, so I'm guessing that my algorithms are like all over the place because I do both. I don't know. Anyway, I had been looking and searching for a horror book tag forever, and I could not find one. This year, almost a year later, I found one. And I'm so happy I found one. So the horror book tag that I'm doing is hosted by Krystle Visions. That's the name of her channel. It is Krystle with a K, but it's Krystle, which is a different way that I've seen it spelled, and Visions, as in your eyes, visions. So oh my goodness. And I learned about her book tag through another booktuber that I watch, but I can't think of which booktuber it is right now. I have her face right here, and I follow her because she reads a lot of Stephen King, and I read a lot of Stephen King, and I read some of the other horror novels that she has as well. Like, our tastes are very similar, although different as well, because I don't think she reads any Christian novels, and I also like to read Christian novels. Don't try to wrap your head around that. Some people can't. I know I'm Christian, but I also have the things that I like that for entertainment, and I like horror stuff the most. I'm not saying I don't like any other ones. I just like horror the most. So I learned about this book tag through that booktuber, and she had a link for the person, Krystle, who's hosting it, and I think she has 3 other co-hosts with her that are doing this book tag with her. I'm just reading along. I probably won't dive into any of their live streams or anything, just because my kids don't really allow me to sit down too much to do much of anything. So when I do read, sometimes I have to like lock myself in the room. But if I do just so happen to see that they're doing a live stream for any of the videos or any of the books that they're watching, of course I will indulge. But anyway, let's get into this tag. So the first prompt is to read a book with a red cover. I got this in the Book of the Month box last month. Haven't had a chance to read it because I'm still currently literally in the middle of 7 books. And I know tomorrow's the 11th, and tomorrow is what is the first day of this horror tag, and I think it's from, if I'm not mistaken, it's from the 11th of July to the 11th of July to the 3rd of August. So I still have a little time. Hasn't even started yet. I probably should have been done reading my June books already, but I haven't been. So there's that. So yeah, I'm in the middle of 7 books from June. June was a hard reading month. But anyway, we're going to get into this book with red cover. Got this for my June Book of the Month box. I haven't read it yet, so I'm going to read it. It's called The Last Flight. This also can double as the psychological horror thriller book that's also in this as prompt 6, but I'm going to try my best not to double. I will double if it comes down to the nitty gritty and I'm running out of time. But this is a book about a girl who wants to get away from her husband, I believe it is. Yeah, she wants to get away from her husband. He's described as ambitious, admired, with deep pockets, and he's very controlling with a bad temper behind closed doors, and he will use his employees to track her down any chance he gets. So she had a chance to switch identities with a woman, and I think the woman ended up dying with her identity, and she had to make a decision if whether or not she is going to continue to take on this woman's identity and live as this woman, or was she make it known that the woman in her switched so she could get away from her husband. And you have to read the book to figure out exactly how it goes. And I have not read it. Looks like it's going to be a quick read. It's a pretty thin book. I think this is roughly 200 pages. 300. I said roughly 200 pages. I meant roughly 300 pages, but it's 302 pages. So that shouldn't be terribly long. Read a Haunted House / ghost story. I also got this book last month in my Book of the Month box, Home Before Dark. This book is said, at least in the reviews that I watch, to have something to do with the Amityville horror house. I think it's like the daughter inherits the house or something like that and moves into it. It's supposed to be based off a true story. I'm not sure. But if if you are anyone who knows horror, you know that and you have heard of Amityville horror, because I won't assume that you have. A lot of people who read horror have not heard of the Amityville horror. But Amityville horror was said to have to be a haunted house, and the house makes people do, murderous things. So I can't wait to read this book, and to some extent, ghost stories can also be psychological thrillers, because a lot of people think that ghost stories are in your head. So it really just depends on what you feel about it. I won't count this as a psychological thriller. It'd definitely be a ghost story. Next book is read a book featuring supernatural creatures, zombies, vampires, werewolf, fae, etc. I am going to read Salem's Lot. I was going to say finish Salem's Lot because I started, but I didn't get very far. I think I got just through the epilogue and probably the first part of the first chapter. And then that was it. So I'm going to pick this back up and keep going with it. I didn't get very far with it because in the last college course that I was in, we just picked books to read for the first 15 minutes of class. It was just an exercise we practiced because as a teacher, we have our students read 15 minutes independent reading time. So the point of the exercise was us to model and see kind of from our kids' perspectives as students what goes through their mind when they're trying to concentrate to read for 15 minutes or just to read for 15 minutes, and how we're supposed to get in the habit of reading our own book, even if it's our own books, our personal reads. Obviously, I would never bring any of my horror books to work unless I take the dust jacket off, because kids can read. But yeah. So I didn't finish reading it, so I'm going to pick that back up. Finish reading that. And then the next one is read a Gothic horror novel. I'm going to read Frankenstein. I was going to pick Dracula, but Dracula is a little thick for all the other books that I'm reading. I need to shorten how many thick books I have, because I still need to finish the 7 books that I am currently reading right now. So I picked a short classic one that I like. Because at first I was going to pick one of Edgar Allan Poe's books, because I have a book of short stories from Edgar Allan Poe, but I don't know which one to pick. And knowing me in my mind, I will probably keep trying to read. So better safe than sorry. I'm going to read Frankenstein. This is an old, I think it's Wordsworth edition. That's why the cover looks this way. It's a really, I don't know, it's a really weird cover. So, yeah. Next is read your favorite childhood read your favorite childhood scary story or spooky story. Goosebumps is what started it for me. And my favorite two Goosebumps is Haunted Mask, but I did a reread for Haunted Mask last year, books 1 and 2 for my child lit class, and I didn't want to do the same book over again. So I picked my next best favorite one to do a reread for, and it is Stay Out of the Basement. Hopefully you can see that with all the glare. Hoopla did not have the e-copy, and all of my physical copies are in storage with my school library. And all my Goosebump books are my personal books. I'm just saying that because I'm still debating on whether or not I actually want to put them out in my library at work, because students are so rough with books, and my Goosebump books mean the world to me. But I think what I'm going to do is that if I have doubles, the doubles will for sure go to my classroom libraries, and my other ones will forever be with me. When I was younger, I actually had every single one of the Goosebump books, and then when I moved in with my husband, I didn't take the books with me right away, and they got destroyed. I don't even know how, but they got destroyed. But so there's the childhood read, and then the next prompt is read a psychological horror story. Little Darlings is my pick. I have not read this book. I got this book a couple months ago, and I believe I got it in my book of the month box, even though it doesn't have the book of the month thing up there. I would not have bought this at the store because I don't know much about it. I would have had to read the synopsis to get it. I think this was the only book of the month book that I got that didn't have the logo up there, and I don't know why that is. But I'm very positive that I got this from book of the month. But this is a psychological thriller because if you ever heard of the myth of the changelings, it's a myth that it's a creature that will exchange her child with a human child. But the mom in here wasn't for sure if that's what she saw. Everyone thinks she's crazy, but she doesn't think she's crazy. Then one day her twins are missing, and then they're not missing. They're found unharmed, but then she doesn't think they're actually her twins. She thinks that they're the changeling twins, and the changeling twins will be made to look like the human babies, but they're not really, and they're very vicious little creatures. Yeah. But that is as much as of the myth that I remember. And I remember it from, have you ever heard of the TV show Grimm? Because it's kind of like the Grimm brothers versions of the fairy tales, and they kind of like put their own twist on it for the TV show. So I remember watching it, and that I remember watching it in the TV show Supernatural. Have you ever heard of that show? And then there was one other show that I was watching where it was also in that. So that's how I learned about the myth of the changeling. But I haven't actually went out and did any research on it myself at all. But yeah, so that's supposed to be a myth base. This can also be doubled as a, what prompt was it? Prompt 3 for the supernatural creatures. So if I'm like struggling for time, since this is a smaller book than this one, I would probably double this book instead of reading this one. So that's just what I'll do if, so then that way I believe the last flight, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, the last flight would not be doubled. It would be this one. or that one can be tripled. Really? Yeah. Because it would triple for, well, no, it couldn't, because it would need to be a red cover. So I would still have to read it. Never mind. All right. Now, the next prompt number 7, is read any horror book that has been on your TBR for a long time. And I picked Pet Sematary. Now, this is a book that I am in the middle of, and I started reading this at the end of last month, but I read it for literally 2 15-minute time slots for that class, and then I stopped reading it. So I'm going to pick this back up and finish it for this readathon. I have seen both versions of the movie. I have never actually read the book. A lot of the horror books, really, I watched all the movies first. Not all of the horror movies that have books, but quite a bit of them that are Stephen King, because I mean, I was little and didn't have access to Stephen King books, but I had access to his movies because I would sneak in my mom's room to watch them. So I know about the movies. Didn't know about the books until I was an adult. Didn't start collecting books until I started, I didn't start collecting books again until I started with my Nocturnals Reader's Box subscription. Because before that, I was collecting books in high school. And like I said, when I moved out with my husband, the books did not come with me right away because we didn't have like this big moving van to move everything to Georgia. We just moved some things. So a lot of books got lost along the way. So, but I never owned Stephen King books. I would always just check them out from the library. All right, and then there's prompt 8, which is read the group book called Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay. I did put myself on hold for this book through the Overdrive library app, but I am number 20 in line. There's only 3 copies of the book, so I don't know if I will actually get that book during this readathon time. I may not get it at all, so I don't know if that would mean that I completed or not completed this. I don't know. But that is my books for this readathon. All of these bad boys. And the one that's not in my hand, which is Stay Out of the Basement. So those don't look like thick books, but Little Darlings, or was that Home Before Dark and The Last Fight are the thickest books I think that are on here. Other than Salem's Lot. So we'll see how we can get that through this. But I can tell you right now, I'm probably going to get through this because some of these are on my Overdrive app and have already been checked out by me, and then some of them are not. So the ones that I have on audio, I'm probably gonna listen to on audio, and then the ones that I don't have on audio, I will obviously have to read. So that is my horror in 24 book tag or yeah, TBR list. There you go. Horror in 24 readathon list. Horror in 24 readathon TBR. Bam. There you go. Got it that time. It's a tongue twister. All right, and again, I will get Krystle's YouTube link, and I will put that in the description below, as well as the prompts. So that way you have the prompts and the link. I would recommend also going to Krystle's YouTube and just checking out her reads. She has some pretty good reads on her list as well. And I think Frankenstein she's also reading, and the other girl whose YouTube channel, whose name I can't remember for the life of me right now, she's also reading Frankenstein. And I don't think she actually ever read Frankenstein before, but that is one of the horror Gothic classics. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. Bye.